Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Press Box Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. Welcome to the Philly Press Box Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA. Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA. Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight. As you can see, my partner has the night off, so tonight we have a special guest host in Freddy Burns. Freddie, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. I'm pumped up. Excited to be back.
You're always pumped up.
I know. I love this.
Hey, before we get going, let's get to the important stuff. How is Freddie Ford doing? How's the family doing since we haven't talked to you for quite a while?
Battling hard. He's got daily chemo till May 2024, late May, but you wouldn't know if I didn't tell you. So he's doing great. Just did flag football. Rest of the family's doing good. So thanks for asking.
Fantastic. Good stuff. Well, hey, we're going to talk a lot of Philly sports. The Eagles continue to roll with a 10-1 record halfway through the gauntlet schedule. 49ers next up. Sixers welcome LeBron James and the Lakers to the Wells Fargo Center Monday. Handed LeBron the largest defeat of his 21 career. Take that, LeBron, back to L.A. with you. Flyers continue to play pretty good hockey, even though they lost last night. College football playoffs are lining up with championship weekend this Saturday. Penn State's in that 10 spot. There's plenty to talk about in Philly sports, as always.
Oh, yeah. We even got some Big Five action tonight at Nova St. Joe's, LaSalle Temple, college basketball, too. Great time to be.
Yeah, and how about Villanova going and winning a tournament after getting knocked off by the Penn Quakers at the Palestra?
I know. I was like, oh, man, it's going to be another one of them years. And then they just go around. The good teams they beat in that tournament. So, North Carolina, Texas Tech, that's good stuff.
Well, one thing about it, Villanova St. Joe's on paper, this shouldn't be a game, but you know what? It's Villanova St. Joe's, and who knows what's going to happen.
The Hawk dies tonight.
Some will tell you the Hawk will never die. Well, hey, as mentioned, Chet's off, but he'll maybe making several appearances throughout the show tonight just because he's got to have some FaceTime. That's kind of the way it rolls. You know that. But he did promise us a follow-up interview with new author of the book, Loud, Philly broadcast legend Angelo Cataldi. Chet taped that just last night. So let's jump to that first. They do talk a little Eagles, although I haven't heard this yet, but talks mostly about the book, I think. Talk some Eagles, and then we'll come back and we'll talk lots of Eagles. All right?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
I chatted with this Philly Sports Talk radio legend 5 or 6 weeks ago, and we had such a good time, we decided to do it again. Part of the reason for doing it this week, his terrific new book, Loud, is now officially available. We'll talk more about that book, that wild Eagles overtime win over the Bills, and more. Making a return visit to Philly Press Box Radio, it's Angelo Cataldi. Angelo, welcome.
Chet, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, first thing, and as the Hall of Famer Ray Didinger noted in the foreword to your book, after a devastating loss or a crazy win, a lot of fans would say, I can't wait to hear what Angelo has to say tomorrow morning. Well, this past Sunday, for the second straight week, the Eagles played a god-awful first half, but somehow found a way to get the W. What would you have said Monday morning if you still had your show?
Well, let me start by saying this, Chet. You don't pay as well as WIP did, you know? So I used to get paid for doing this, but I can't deny when I woke up, I said to myself, what would I say? I was so frustrated for pretty much 3/4 of the game.
Yep.
So I think I would do this. I would start by gushing over Jalen Hurts, because this is a guy, The reason they're 10-1 is he just won't lose. He refuses to lose. And even when he's playing a dog of a game, the way he did more than just the first half, you would say to yourself, well, he's just having an awful day. They're going to lose. Then he just lights it up. Fourth quarter and overtime. Brilliant. Great throws, great decisions. The run for the game-winning touchdown. So I would do about 10 minutes of gushing on Hurts. Then I do about 3 more minutes on Elliott, because I don't know how he made that kick, Chet. It was raining. The wind was blowing against him. He kicks it low, knowing it could be blocked, but that's the only way to get it there. And he got it there with 5 yards to spare. That guy is amazing. So then I would do all that. And then the rest of the show, which would be like 3 hours and 45 minutes, I would bitch about how you can't trust the defense. The offensive play calling stinks. And I still don't think they're going too far, because they haven't proven they're as good as they were last year, even though their record's even better. They are a bizarre team. I also got this up when they said that Lane Johnson was not going to play.
Yeah.
In the back of my mind, I already registered it as a loss, because their record without Johnson, I think it's 11-22 now since he came onto the team. But they got that figured out too. The first half, that offensive line, if you'd have told me it was one of the strengths of the team, I would have told you were nuts. And then in the fourth quarter, with the game on the line, Jason Kelce gets 2 penalties for flinching, and after the game acknowledges they were the right calls. And you go, well, how is if Kelce isn't going to get you there in the final minutes, who is? Jalen Hurts is. And Jalen Hurts did it again. And I'm in awe of him. Chet, he's my favorite Eagle quarterback of all time.
I believe you. Hey, let's get back to the book. You dedicated your book to the fans, specifically, quote, the loud, proud Philadelphia sports fans who welcomed me into their world for 33 magical years. You did an entire chapter on them in the book. Eagle Shirley, Jason, Butch from Manayunk. Some very interesting stuff about Butch, by the way. Arson, Arnie, and among your fans and devoted listeners, a guy named Kenny from the Dirty 30. Tell us about Kenny Justice and what happened with him just over 2 years ago.
One of the reasons I wrote the book, the number one reason I wrote the book, because let me tell you, I ain't getting rich doing it. The fans, their passion works both ways, and people don't understand that. So, yeah, they did. I've got lots of stories about how crazy these fans were and the nutty stuff they did, because I was there for a lot of it. But I also have stories about how their passion works in a positive way, how when WIP held a radiothon, we reached our goal every single year because they were so generous, because they always stood up. In the case of Kenny Justice, that's the ultimate example. One of the very last years I was at WIP, he called in and he was telling a story. He was ripping the Eagles for something. And then I asked him where he was going. He said he was going for kidney dialysis because his kidneys were failing. And if he didn't get a transplant in the next couple of years, he probably wasn't going to be there to see his kids grow up. And just put it out there. At the end, he just gave a number to call. And between then and 10 o'clock, less than 2 hours, 28 people called to sign up as organ donors. And as a result of those calls, Kenny Justice got a kidney transplant and is now healthy and doing great. And that's the part of the story I want people to understand. Yeah, we're nuts. But we have big voices and bigger hearts. And the heart never gets talked about. The voices and all the antics, that's what they get. I don't expect miracles here. The narrative isn't going to change. The lazy national media will always blame us for every incident. But people who know these fans understand the other side of it, which is, I think, even more important. They're there when you need them.
And I love the fact that the first words Kenny taught his son were "Dallas sucks."
Oh, believe me. And I got to tell you, Chet, I've been, I saw you at the book signing in where was it, Malton on Saturday. Yes. And some people are having me write something even worse than "Dallas sucks" in the book. They're going even further. And you know what I say to that? The FCC isn't looking at me anymore. If that's what they want, I'll give it to them. What the heck? Couldn't say it on the air, though.
Angelo, some casual listeners probably thought you and your WIP crew just showed up in the morning and had some fun talking sports and joking around, but I know how very much work goes into a daily 4-hour talk show. Your old pal Mike Missinelli called you the hardest working, most organized guy he knows. How much work did go into a daily show as successful as yours was?
Just understand, Chet, the reason why I did that much prep is I never was secure. I was not a broadcaster. I was afraid that I would have nothing to say at some point. So I had these copious notes every day to make sure I never ran out of stuff. But I had a formula that was 2 hours of prep for 1 hour on the air. So in a 4-hour show, which was normally what we had, I would need to do 8 hours. So what I would do is the first few hours, I'd take a break after a show, and then like 1 or 2 o'clock, I'd start on the internet looking for stories I could use the next day, because you can't just go with 1 or 2 stories. You need a whole bunch of them. And then that would take me up into like dinner time. And then I would go to bed super early, get up at 2:30, catch up on any of the games that had happened overnight, and go from 2:30 to 6, prepping the show again with all the materials in hand, all the different things I was going to use. So it was about a 12-hour day. There were days that were a little easier. There were days that were harder. Like if you were on a remote, it took even longer to be ready because there was a lot of extra elements to incorporate. But it took a long time. People do have this impression that you walk in at 6 o'clock in the morning and then just hit the buttons and all the callers are waiting for you. No, first of all, you tend to have to earn the callers by being interesting, provocative. Not on a Monday after an Eagles game. They call no matter what. But 90% of the time, you have to have some sort of an insight that gives them reason to call you and to talk to you and maybe to argue with you, maybe to laugh with you. But it's all different elements for every show. And I always used to say, when you got them all together, you like threw them in a big pot, and it was like a soup. And you just swirled around and kept everything in play as long as you could. And if it all went well, they'd let you come back and do it again tomorrow.
All right, I got to ask you about this, Angelo. In January of 2020, WIP did an Andy Reid Appreciation Day. Your morning show did not participate. To quote from your book, Andy Reid is a loser and a liar. You wrote that about a guy who's won 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 or 4 years. Explain yourself, Angelo.
I would like to correct you on the 2 Super Bowls. Those were won, despite him, by Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Okay, let's clear that up first of all. Second of all, this is just me, I guess, but we're very provincial in this town. And in this town, if you didn't win it for us, why do I care that you won it for Kansas City? What good does that do me? So here's what I look at. 14 shots at it when he was the coach of the Eagles, 0 for 14. That's a loser to me, all right? A liar, I don't have to worry about having to justify that. Anybody that heard any of his news conferences know that's true. He wouldn't answer a straight question with a gun at his head. So I stand by it. And here's where I'm different from a lot of people when they retire, Chet. When the people retire, they mellow and they want to make amends with all the people I had feuds with. I have no desire or interest in that. I would like to go to my grave. There's a chapter called Enemies for Life, and I would like to hate them. My last words would be, Gabe Kapler is a jackass. That would be a nice moment.
All right. Well, Angelo, like the Eagles this past Sunday, we're playing overtime now. So let's do a little thing called 3 and Out. I'm going to give you 3 topics. Give me 20 to 30 seconds on each of these.
Okay.
Number 1. You were extremely popular during your 33 years on WIP and at the same time despised by many. There was a 2010 Bleacher Report article that began, Angelo Cataldi is an idiot, a jackass, if you will. And then it went on from there. How did
I
you
agree,
deal with
by the way. They were correct. Go ahead.
Well, how did you deal with the haters?
Here's exactly how I dealt with it, because I did have some websites and things like that. And many times in the course of a show, I would point out how wrong I was, how stupid I was. We took no prisoners, including ourselves. We went after each other all the time. Those things, there was a lot of accuracy to what they were saying. Here's the key. Never, ever on the air acknowledge them. That's how they win. All right? Websites, people like that. The minute you mention them, you're giving them what they set out to do. Free publicity. Don't do it. I never in any of the time there went after my bashers because there was no point to it except to help them. So I didn't. Now, if somebody said something nice, I might spend half a show on that.
Well, here's something
but not
nice.
a basher. Not a basher.
Number 2, I loved the great sports debate. Give me a favorite memory from that terrific early 1990s great sports debate TV show on Prism, when Glenn Macnow had hair, by the way.
Yeah, that's how far back we went. End of season 1. Everybody back then was having big cliffhanger shows. So in the final show of the first season, with Al's dog Fenway as part of our crew that day, I staged my own shooting. At the very end of it, it's in the Best of Great Sports Debate tape, and I had a gun come out right under the camera, and I had a blood pack right near my heart. And believe it or not, even though it's campy as heck, the gun shoots out, and I smash my face, and I go back, and I die. Stay tuned next season. Now, there's only one problem with that play. We taped it on a Monday. Tuesday morning, I had a radio show. So if there was anybody out there who thought I survived, they would know pretty quickly I didn't. But it was fun. That thing we put together was part of the unpredictable, campy nature of what we did, because at that point, none of us really knew what we were doing on television. It was so much fun.
Number 3, you were nominated for a Pulitzer Prize for your 1986 story about Buddy Ryan and his lies and unkept promises, but you didn't win, and you said that was the best thing for your media career. Why so?
Because, first of all, the thing that I got a finalist for was really not right. I ripped apart the first half of Buddy Ryan's first season because I held him accountable for all the things he had said when he went to Philadelphia. And I never took into account what he was really doing, which was building up a fan base the way it had never been built up before. So I held him accountable. I was right. All that stuff he said was not true. But he won because he got more people to love that football team. And if I had won it, and somebody told me that I was in the running there for a while, if I had won it, I wouldn't have been able to go on the radio. I wouldn't have been able to do what I did, because once you're that, you are a serious journalist for life. And it was at that moment I was actually planning an exit from serious journalism in an attempt to make serious money. And so it wouldn't have worked out. I would have never done it. The whole track of my career would have been entirely different.
Well, it certainly did work out extremely well for you, Angelo. An amazing career. And now this fantastic book, Loud, which I'm about a third of the way through, by the way. Really enjoying it. I got my copy, as you mentioned, when I visited with you at the Marl from Chickies on Saturday. Great to meet Eagles Shirley and your lovely wife, Gail, by the way. And you've got a bunch of additional book signings coming up. There's some of them on the screen right there. Between now and Christmas, folks, go to one of these signings, pick up a book. I promise you will enjoy it. More details about those and other book signings on this guy's website, AngeloCataldi.com. Angelo, thanks so much for visiting with us here on Philly Press Box Radio. A second time in 6 weeks. Best of luck with the book, and happy holidays.
Anybody that wants an inscription, if you go to the website, I'll write down whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Yours wasn't all that tawdry, but a lot of them are. Chet, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I got to get us back on, Fred. There we go.
Wow.
How'd you like that?
He's that was a great interview, Chet. I don't know if you're still listening. I saw you commenting. Amazing. He hasn't changed a bit. That's pretty awesome. Good stuff.
And you know, I think I appreciate his honesty more now than when he was on the radio, because I think it's a calmer, gentler kind of guy you're talking to instead of a crazy guy every morning.
Yeah, no, and laid back, just kind of giving you. I actually won a Donovan McNabb autographed jersey on his show one time, and I also joined him for a trip to They took a bus trip when Worth was the first game of the Nationals, and everyone booed him. Yeah, and I met him there, so he was a pretty nice guy. Good get as always on Philly Press Box Radio.
There you go. Good stuff. Well, hey, let's spend a minute right quick. Thank our friends at Allstate Insurance and the Irish Rover Station House. Of course, we got to have Chet in on this. Winter's here. Gas prices have started back up. It's time to save some more money with Allstate's pay-as-you-go auto insurance.
You know this by now. Allstate's pay-as-you-go auto insurance puts you in control. You only pay for the miles you drive with the same full coverage that a traditional policy offers. Pay-per-mile insurance gives customers greater control of their insurance costs. See how much you can save with pay-per-mile car insurance by calling your local agent. In Westchester, PA, that is our pal Dave Lavoie at Allstate. In Westchester. Call Dave at 610-430-0700. Once again, 610-430-0700. And hey, while you're out and about shopping or doing whatever during this busy time of the year, make it a point to stop into the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne. They always have happy hour drink specials and ever-changing killer burgers menu every Thursday, plus terrific dinner specials Thursday through Sunday. And they have a great lineup of events all throughout December. Quizzo every Wednesday night, live music on Saturdays, Soulshine providing the tunes this weekend, and yes, a personal favorite event of mine, Thursday, December 14th, the Rovers' annual Ugly Sweater Party. Of course I'll be there. Where? The Irish Rover Station House on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Get all the details on those events and more via IrishRoverStationHouse.com.
Hi, this is Ray Dinger. And it is always fun to talk sports with these two guys, Bill and Chet, on Philly Press Box Radio.
Just one more thing, as Columbo would say. That's my Columbo impression. Bill, at some point in the show every week, you typically ask me about the following week's show. Well, while I think of it, I will tell you that our guest next week is one of our faves whom we haven't had on the show in more than a year now. It is the always fun, the always high energy James Seltzer from WIP's morning show and the co-host of the Go Birds and High Hopes podcast. Get ready to have some fun next week with James. Now, back to Bill and Freddie.
Hey, there you go. He's everywhere, that guy.
Columbo. My dad always watched Columbo. I know that reference. That cracked me up. That was good, Chet. A young guy like myself even picked up on that.
Yeah. Hey, Freddie. Robbie says good stuff, and I'm not a fan. I wonder if she's talking about Angelo or Chet.
Probably Chet, right?
Some good comments coming in. RJ, Angelo holds nothing back. Awesome interview. Good stuff. Joe, another one. Yeah. Right? For someone taking off, he's sure in there. And guess what? He's still listening. So he wants to be sure everybody sees him at the ugly sweater contest. All right, we got one more comment right quick we'll throw up there. Paul Spencer says, hello, Freddie and Bill. Nova, St. Joe's. All right, Freddie, time to talk birds. They're not making it easy, but at the end of the day, they're 10-1. They got a 2-game lead in the NFC East. The gauntlet, as they said, schedule is we're on the backside of that now and undefeated through it. What do you make of this team right now?
Just amazed. Just so amazed at this team. 10-1. They're so resilient. For all the years I've watched Eagles football in my life, like 4 of these games would definitely have been losses. And somehow they pull that out. And that somehow is Jalen Hurts. It's no doubt about it. The guy played, and I'm talking about last week specifically, probably the worst half of football you could play as a quarterback. His quarterback rating was a 7. He didn't turn the ball over, though, which was good. And then just puts the team on his back like Superman. And it's just amazing. It's the team follows Jalen Hurts' attitude, his approach to the game, his approach in game. Everything about this team just smells of Jalen Hurts, and it goes all the way back to Alabama and Oklahoma. I saw an interview recently clip. It was before he became pro. It was Jeremy Schaap of ESPN, one of them outside the lines things, and he said to Hurts, when you get to the pros, you're not going to be able to go 15-1, 10-1 all the time. And Hurts kind of looked at him humbly, was like, we'll see. Here we are, 27-2, this kid in the last 29 games at the NFL level. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I want to add on to that because I think certainly Hurts has done some pretty magical things in the second half. But I think the other thing that's really impressed me, I go back to the old trenches, Freddie, you know that. The adjustments being made at halftime by the offensive line and Jeff Stoutland, and all of a sudden in Dallas and Kansas City, they're coming out and running the ball with DeAndre Swift, who looks like he's playing at a different gear than everybody else after halftime, and all of a sudden, now you're running the ball. You're getting a lot of energy. Now you're opening up that pass. They don't seem to want to run the ball in the first half, and they're behind. They're behind because of it, and they're putting Jalen, I think, into some bad situations in the first half that they're able to decide or fix at halftime.
That's a great point you bring up. And I was actually pondering this today, and I'm like, I'm yelling at Brian Johnson, but then the Vikings game, he committed to the run midway second quarter, and they went on and then they took off,
Right.
So is it Sirianni's game plan that they're not running and then they're making the adjustment? Because it's clear as day, if they would just establish the run with DeAndre Swift, mind you, not stop forcing Kenny Gainwell down our throat. It's
Absolutely.
not terrible, but Swift is just so much better. It's not even, it's just so, it's an insult to our intelligence telling us that Gainwell's on that level. Like, it's just not.
Right.
So it's frustrating because I've been blaming Brian Johnson, but I thought, you know what, maybe Brian Johnson's the one making the adjustments, and it's the game plan with Sirianni is the problem.
Yeah, and I don't think we know that. We don't, it's probably a combination of both. But I think that what really gets me is if you go back and you look at the Jets game, they refused to run the ball, and they got beat. They came out against the Dolphins, a much better team, and decided from play one, they're going to run the ball, and they ran the Dolphins right out of the building. I don't get it. I don't get why they want to come out like the other night in a pouring rain with a substitute right tackle and want to throw three passes and go 3 and out. Like, what are you thinking? Now, I will say this, and I said this to on the show several weeks ago, I think it was, the workload of DeAndre Swift. If you look at, you mentioned the Vikings game, I believe he carried the ball 28 times or something like that. That is the only time all year he's carried more than 17 times. If you look at his stats, it's 15 carries, 16 carries, 17 carries, 17 carries, right in there. That's all the work he's getting. And, it's a marathon and not a sprint. And maybe they're thinking 15, 17 carries, perfect for him.
The thing about even the 15-16, though, is based on most of the games, and I don't know the stats. I'm just going off watching it and knowing them not running the ball in the first half, is most of those carries all came in the second half.
Right.
They basically, they don't even use them sometimes in the first half, to your point. So I get it, but does it really save his legs if they run him 16 times in one half, though? Isn't it kind of the same thing?
Well, early in the year, and I didn't notice it quite as much here in the last couple of games, but early in the year, he was playing the first quarter. Gainwell was playing the second quarter. Swift was playing the third quarter. Then they were combo in the fourth quarter. And it seemed like it was pretty regular that they were doing it that way. They got to do more. They just have to do more. Was it LaShawn McCoy came out the other day and said Swift's got to have 22 to 25 touches a game, and I can't argue with that.
I mean, LaShawn McCoy is a funny name because he's the last back we've had the caliber of DeAndre Swift. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw him run here. I'm like, wow, look at the speed, look at the elusiveness. He does. You look, and we'll get into the 49ers later, I know, but you look at a team like that with Christian McCaffrey, they got a great running back. If you're going to have a great running back of that caliber, then use them, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right, hey, Joe, let's jump over to defense for a minute because I think they're playing pretty good ball. They're giving up lots of yards. They look like they're always behind. But, I actually had to write this down so I remember it all. Tua, Prescott, Mahomes, Allen. I mean, those are 4 really good quarterbacks. And they put up some big numbers. We won all the games. even Sam Howell and Zach Wilson played pretty good games, but I think everybody circles this game. This is their Super Bowl, and to knock off the number one team, they know they got to bring their A game. So yeah, you're giving up yards. You're not really giving up a whole ton of points. Some points. These are good teams. What's your take on the defense at this point and the way that the defense is playing against these really good quarterbacks? You okay with it?
I'm going to go. I think it goes hand in hand with the reason they're able to win is the old adage, stop the run. This run defense and this defensive line gives up 3.7 yards per carry. And I don't know. I think they're definitely top 5 in the league of stopping the run. So I think with that commitment, they do that with a kind of bend, don't break style defense with good corners that, receivers have been open. But I think the backbreaker for this defense is they're allowing the mobile quarterback to get the yards on them. And that is kind of the situation where they're saying, hey, we're not going to give up the big play. We're not going to give up the 80-yard touchdown. If they're going to run down the field of 10, 15-yard scrambles, fine, we'll stop them in the red zone, hold them to 3, which they've been somewhat successful at. And I think that's the approach. And given our linebacker play that's been up and down and safeties that's been questionable as well, I think it's the right approach.
Yeah, well, and I think, I thought Josh Allen on Sunday was fabulous. I thought he threw the ball. He stayed in the pocket. He avoided the rush. He ran with the ball. I know his Pro Football Forecast, whatever they call that thing, grade was 94. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, was 74 in that game. I thought Dak Prescott played fantastic against the Eagles. In the end, he made some time management mistakes that ended up hurting him. Patrick Mahomes played really good too. They had a couple drops that hurt them. These are quality quarterbacks, and I think, you're going to give up yards. Just don't lose the game. And I think overall, my take on the Eagles' defense is they're pretty darn good.
And Sean Desai is pretty quick to make adjustments too at halftime. He's been huge, recognizing what's going on and then making those adjustments so that the second half they've been much better. I think that what the Chiefs scored 5 points in the second half, and then last week was a little different. It was up and down the whole game, but you could tell the first half they kind of were running on us at will. The second half it kind of slowed down a bit. So Sean Desai's been a bright spot, no doubt.
Yeah, and I have to throw out Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship, but for those that don't know, played all 95 snaps on defense the other day and 21 special team snaps. 116 snaps in a professional football game. Reed Blankenship's getting my game ball, pal.
Sounds like an undrafted free agent that's still hungry, and that's
oh my goodness,
that's amazing. That I did not know that. That is amazing. Yeah. I think he's very good against the run. I think he has his times, his moments, but I think they put him in a good position as far as coverage goes. But hey, man, to play that many snaps, to give that on a football field, and not be a mess, like hold your own, is awesome. Wow,
right. Amazing. All right. Hey, let's talk real quick about the 49ers game coming up. They've been doing lots of talking there in San Francisco since last year, and they don't like anything about the Eagles, the Eagles fans, the referees, everybody, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about Sunday?
There's so much to this game. You could go all over the place. And the chirping Deebo Samuel to call Bradbury trash is just terrible. Like he's not even going to play as many games in his career that Bradbury's had. Bradbury's been an all-pro, Pro Bowler. Like, it's just so disrespectful to do that. But I'm going to go to the offensive line versus the defensive line. You got Nick Bosa is starting to come alive here since the bye week. 4.5 sacks. He leads the league in quarterback hits. They go out and get a guy like Chase Young, who's going to be matched up on Mailata. Lane Johnson health is going to be a big deal this weekend because, I know Driscoll held his own after that first series and they made some adjustments, but Bosa on Driscoll is going to be something to watch. And I think that
it looks like as of today, Lane's playing.
He's going to play, but with the groin, I'm saying that easily could be pulled again. Groins aren't an injury that, you're just good. It's that it could be second quarter and he's out again. So I just think the offensive line versus the pressure of this 49ers defensive line, as well as their linebackers, they have a great defense. It's probably the best defense in football across the board. It is going to come down to the trenches and our offense being able to, score points, which I think they will. But I think it's going to be a tough challenge there.
And I look at the flip side of that as well. They couldn't block us year. Both quarters hurt. Can they block us this year? Are the Eagles going to be super aggressive and be getting after them early? I'm excited to see how that plays out. I think if I'm San Francisco, I'm going with a little different tact. I'm getting rid of that football pretty quick this time and not let that good defensive line that you mentioned get too Purdy like last time.
No, Purdy, good word there. But that's the thing. He's not as mobile as these other quarterbacks. He'll scramble and get you like 10 or 9. I think, the key there is getting pressure on him. I was doing some research today. They have the least attempts as far as passing goes in the league. So they don't even like to throw a lot. They like to focus on the run. Our strength is stopping the run. And we've also faced a very similar offense in the Miami Dolphins, and we pretty much held that great offense in check, if not exposed that offense. So, as big and bad as the 49ers seem, and we're not even favored, we're 3-point dogs at home. It's
no respect. Nobody likes us. We don't care.
I looked up the gambling money. All the bets are on the 49ers. All the money's on the 49ers, and they're favored. It's just, no respect. 10-1.
We'll see. Going to be a good one. All right. Hey, let's move on. Let's give a shout out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. As you can see, the gang has all the bases covered. You can also catch all the action on www.eopsports.com, as well as Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. You can also find our show on the Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel as well. Help us out. Hit those subscribe, follow, and like buttons. And as always, share with your family and friends. And as you can see, every night of the week, lots of Eagles stuff coming up Sunday, pregame, halftime, postgame, in the morning, hockey, lacrosse, basketball. We got it covered at the Edge of Philly Sports Network. All right, Freddie. I know you're a huge Sixers fan. They're playing pretty good ball to open the season at 12-5. As we mentioned in the opening, LeBron James came to town and took a behind a woodshed beating, losing by 44 points. Your thoughts at this point on this team and new head coach Nick Nurse?
I'll start with Nick Nurse. I wanted Nick Nurse. He's the guy I wanted to bring in here, but I will say I wasn't as much of a hater of Doc Rivers because I thought in the NBA it's a players' league. They don't really listen to the coach, that type of thing. Nick Nurse, I was dead wrong. Nick Nurse has I knew he was a good coach. He has retooled this offense into a brand of basketball that anyone likes to watch. It's old school. It's got people running around. No one's standing around anymore. He retooled the entire thing. Embiid is coming off an MVP season, right? And he's putting up numbers better than he ever has across the board in his entire career. And the number one that's standing out to me is assists per game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 0.3 assists behind Maxey, who's the leader. There's players in this league, I want to just list them off to give you perspective, that he has more assists than. Embiid, Dame Lillard, Scotty Barnes, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, Joel Embiid, the center of this offense, has more assists than all of them, all because of the way Nick Nurse is using the center at the perimeter, not to stand there and shoot threes, but to actually set picks, do dribble handoffs, cut after you send the pick. I really love that approach offensively. And then another big thing that he has set a precedent for this team is offensive rebounding. I feel like I haven't seen offensive rebounding since Larry Brown, at least a focus on it. And Embiid is averaging 3.3 offensive rebounds per game. His career average is 2.3. He normally, most years, doesn't even sniff 2 per game. And it's just, and I know, Bill, I say this because I know you've been critical of him, and rightfully so, but the game he's playing now, I feel, is probably something more to your liking.
Yeah. Oh, he absolutely. He's not, like you said, the key thing of everything you said there was he's not standing out at the arc, waiting for a shot and then run down the other end. He's playing the game, and he's getting into paint, and he's doing some other things. And to me, that's fantastic. And all the stats you said, great. He's actually doing it in less minutes as well at this point in the season. Now, I'm still not ever going to get over the nights off because I just don't like that, but it is what it is. Tyrese Maxey, hello. He has stepped up, and he is the deal we thought he might be. Guess what? He's here.
He's the superstar we've been looking for. He's here the whole time. He's been here, and the kid, he just works and works and works is what the best part about him. He's first one in the gym, last one to leave. While all this Harden drama is going on in the offseason, he's in the gym showing his sneakers, working out. No comments. He just works his butt off. LeBron even recently, I think it was in the summer, knew how much of a guy, how hard he worked, that he actually made it a point to beat Maxey in there just to not be beaten by Maxey getting in the gym. We got to lock him up. We have the other superstar here now that we've been searching for. He's young. And here's the best part about this thing with Maxey. Embiid eventually is going to scale back. He's going to get old. And he's been brittle. He's injury prone, but his defense is all pro caliber. And when that starts to subside, Maxey, the superstar, now allows us to keep that championship window open, because now we won't have to depend on Embiid like that. He can still play defense, give you 15 and 10, and it just opens up the window for another, I'd say, 5 to 10 years, while still adding more players along the way. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. I hope that Tobias can be that third leg. Everybody seems to have 3 legs to win a championship. I hope he can be that guy. The other thing I like is that Nick Nurse is playing more guys off of his bench, at least early in the season, getting some more minutes for guys. As I said, Embiid playing less minutes and being just as productive or more. I like the way this thing has started out so far.
Nick Batum, like the trade, everyone thought this was like a get rid of Harden, throw in some veterans guys. Nick Batum's been unbelievable. Kelly Oubre, hopefully he gets back. He's playing at all-star level. You're right. Tobias Harris is almost, we're contemplating, should we bring him back now? We've been trying to get off this contract. Now it's like,
right.
For the right price, I would bring him back for 25, 30 mil a year the way he's playing.
Yep. Well, fun to watch. Long way to go. We're only we're only not even 20 games in yet. Less than a quarter of the season, but so far so good.
Very true.
All right, let's talk Eagles tailgating, and how about that? There's none better than Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates. They've been cooking up terrific catering business for more than 30 years. Known best for their tailgate parties. Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgate's Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events and parties. You name it, Cavs does it. If you check out their website, you can get all the details for the tailgate parties before Eagles home games this season over by Live Casino. There are 3 home games left of the regular season, and there won't be a tailgate before the Christmas game against the Giants, but there absolutely will be for the other ones before Sunday's big battle with the Niners and December's end against the Cardinals. Order your tickets via the website, phillytailgates.com. Check the site, and if you have questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. There you go. Hey, just so everybody knows, when me and Chet do this show, we share these duties of all the comments and all these reads and things. Well, guess what? I'm trying to figure it all out on the fly. So if I stumble a little bit, bear with me. Freddie, Flyers trying to not be the team in town that's left behind. Winning is contagious. I think starts, with everybody showing up at Phillies games. They're showing up at Eagles games. I'm talking about other players from different teams. And the Flyers under John Tortorella right now are playing some pretty good hockey.
It's refreshing, isn't it? This is a rebuild, mind you. They're third in the Metro. I don't know if it's going to stay that way. They got 9 players with 10 or plus points, 6 players with 14 or plus points. You got a nice mix of veterans and young guys playing together, playing hard. Bobby Brink, beautiful surprise. You got Konechny, Sanheim as an assist machine. Konechny's a goal machine. Both of them are team leaders, 16 points. It's fun to watch. It really is. You can sit down and put the game on, and even when they lose, kind of think you have a chance at winning, and they actually are winning, which makes it even better.
Yeah. And Carter Hart, he was injured there for a while, and he was sick for a while also with food poisoning, but he's back. They're getting some pretty good goaltending. This Tortorella thing sometimes doesn't look so pretty, but you know what? There's results, and I think that's what it's all about.
Pressure, what's they say? Pressure makes diamonds. He puts a ton of pressure on them. My only curious thing here, and it's like, because I was like, and I don't think they expected to be winning what they're winning right now. I think they expected to lose. They had some of these guys were traded in the offseason. That one trade fell through.
Right.
So they were almost going to go with a Sixers approach here. I'm just curious what's going to happen at the trade deadline here, because if they're still hanging around, are they going to finally really commit to the rebuild and trade some of these guys to get even younger? Or is that temptation going to be there to be like, hey, we got young guys. We got Cutter coming. We got Mishkov coming. We'll have another draft pick. We have some picks we already acquired. Let's just roll with this squad and let's go. We got the goaltender. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting to watch, because what we don't see as fans is the leadership. Who are those guys in the room that are the leaders? And, you may want to trade a guy because he's older or whatever, but he might be the guy, that we're not seeing that's holding this thing together. So it'll be fun to watch, and I'm kind of excited about it. Chet says he never watches hockey till after New Year's, but I watch hockey all the time, and I think this team's fun to watch.
You turn it on, you could just hang out and watch. My kids were watching it the other night, the shootout, the overnight. They were up late, and I'm like, check this out, and they were just blown away. So it's exciting stuff.
All right, good stuff. Hey, speaking of good stuff, Freddie, look at this.
Oh, Big Five. I'm a Nova fan, but whoa, that's amazing. They'll make a run. We'll make a run. We'll cut this to 4 in 7 minutes.
14-point lead for the Hawks. Wow. How about that?
I mushed them, saying the Hawk will die and wearing this. I mushed them.
Well, hey, Freddie, it's prediction time. Each week, I don't know if you know, Chet and Bob Patrone Jr., Boop to his friends, and I pick the winners of the NFC East games. We usually add 1 or 2 in if they're playing each other or buys or whatever. But and I got to tell you, I haven't been doing too well, but there's a lot of season left. You up for joining us this week?
Yeah, for old time's sake, I'll go 3-0. Didn't I go undefeated every year back when I did this?
You're making that up, I'm sure. All right, I've got to look at my phone here to get. I have not looked at Boop's picks. I have not looked at Chet's picks, but here's what we have. I'm going to have to do a little reading here. This is week 12. Okay, this is week 13. So we have Thursday night football. Seattle at Dallas. Dallas is -9. I'll read through all these right quick. Miami visits Washington. The Dolphins are -9.5. The Eagles host the 49ers Sunday. 49ers -3. And we added in the Colts at the Titans. That is a 1-point spread in that one. So, Freddie, who do you like? Let's go Colts Titans first.
Colts, Titans, Vrabel. I watched that game, a little bit of that game last week. He seems like he's got the defense buying in. I know the Panthers aren't the greatest example, but and the Colts with Minshew are actually a playoff contender. Shane Steichen. I'm gonna ride with Steichen. I think he made this offense amazing last year, and he continues to work with what he got. He's got some weapons over there. Pittman, Jonathan Taylor though is doubtful, which might be an issue. Actually, that's going to swing me. I'm switching already. I'm going to go Titans. I forgot about Taylor. Titans, Vrabel, and the Titans will take this one.
All right. Boop says Indianapolis is riding a 3-game winning streak, but over teams that are a combined 7-26. Boop's pick is Titans. Chet says this one could go either way, but I'm taking the visitor, the Colts. And Bill is taking the Colts. All right.
Son.
That's right. I
forgot about that. My fault.
Right.
I should have took him too.
That's right. All right. Dolphins at Commanders. Who you got?
Dolphins. Yeah.
Easy.
Commanders are a mess. Dolphins.
All right. Since October, so this is Boop. Since October 2nd, Miami is 5-0 against teams not in last season's Super Bowl. Boop's pick, Dolphins. Chet, Commanders are back to sucking. Miami wins easily. Dolphins. Good, Chet. Good one. Good thing I didn't read that first. I'm going Dolphins as well. Seahawks and Cowboys. Who you like?
9-point dogs. The Seahawks here. Cowboys look great this year, especially at home. But I'll be damned if I come on this show for the first time in a while and pick the god-awful Dallas Cowboys. Seahawks will definitely cover the spread. And if you're betting, sprinkle on that money line. Seahawks go into Big D and beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm going to throw this up there. Take Seattle +9. I think it's another look-ahead game. That comes from Paul, who's a Cowboys fan.
A fraud Cowboy fan. What do you know? Taking the other side, hedging.
All right. Boop says Dallas could tie a record with 40-plus points scored in their 4th consecutive home game. Last done by the 2013 Bengals. Boop's pick, Cowboys. Chet says, would love to see an upset here, but unlikely. Chet goes with the Cowboys. I'm going with the Cowboys too, as much as I would. I'm losing in these standings, so I gotta kind of roll with this. I can't take too many risks. My risks are what got me in this jam I'm in. Joe Howe says Big D is going down. Hope you're right, Joe. All right. 49ers and Eagles. Who you like, Freddie?
This is the big matchup here. The 3-point dogs. Charvarius Ward's been playing very well at corner. I think, he shut down DK Metcalf. He'll probably be on A.J. Brown, who's been slow. But good thing for us, Devontae Smith's been on fire. 16 targets. I think 13 catches, 205 yards, touchdown the last 2 weeks. I think he has another good game. Eagles pass rush gets to Purdy. I'm going to give a score even here. 20-14 Eagles. 2014,
low scoring, huh? Okay. Yeah. Dallas Goedert, there's a chance. We didn't even mention him. There's a chance he could be back this week. If not this week, surely next week. That's a huge difference if he's back on the field. All right. Boop says, all of a sudden the Birds are rope-a-doping themselves to victories each week, so why not do it again? Eagles. Chet, it's time for the Birds to play a complete game, maybe even try to lead a game at halftime. What the heck? Should be a classic. Eagles in another tight one. I'm going Eagles because they're just going to be a better football team than that other team that's coming to town. So there you have it. That's our picks for the week. We'll see what we got. We got to run out here. Freddie, we do what we call a margin of victory pool. It's like a suicide pool, but because you lose doesn't mean you're out. It just means you don't get any points. Chet is killing us at this point. He has been on fire until he lost this week. There are the standings so far. Chet has been 11-1, but he's won by a matter of 220 points. I haven't lost many games, but I'm lowest in points. Boop kind of in the middle at 96. So in our margin of victory picks this week, Boop is taking the Steelers over the Cardinals, and you can't use anybody twice here, Freddie. He's taking the Steelers over the Cardinals. Chet is taking Tampa Bay over Carolina, and I am taking the Chargers over New England. So we'll see how that goes as we're in week 13. So we got our picks done. What do you think, Fred?
If I had a pick, and I know you probably used them, and I had them left, I would go Dolphins over Commanders. That would be mine.
Yeah, the Dolphins have got used up by most of us pretty early, I think.
Definitely.
All right. So let me get back on track here. Freddie, we don't have a whole lot of time left. We use some extra time. College football playoffs lining up. Championships games. Your number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs against the Crimson Tide yet again on Saturday for the Marbles.
Yeah, big game, man. It's pretty crazy to see what Kirby Smart has done. He's basically took what Saban did and he has done it at Georgia, duplicated exactly the same way of doing it at his alma mater. And Georgia kind of looks like Alabama normally looks like. I think it's going to be a close game, but if you look at the common games, like Georgia, the games that they've played together, like Ole Miss, for example, Bama beat them by 14, Georgia won by 35. Bama won by 28, Georgia wins by 39 against Kentucky. So I think the common opponent shows that Georgia is ahead of them. They both had close games against Auburn on the road. It's going to be a tough matchup. Saban is going to pull something out, but I think the Georgia's offense is going to be too much. They'll put a spy on Milroe. I'm gonna pick Georgia to win. Obviously, I'm rooting for them, but it's going to be exciting. I think Bama will go up at one point. It'll be a back and forth type game, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. I'm not so sure Georgia's going to win this one, but we'll find out. What a great weekend last week in rivalry weekend. This weekend is going to be just as good with some good games. Penn State sitting in that 10th spot. We mentioned that. They're lined up for a New Year's Six bowl game again. Not sure where it's going to be. A lot of talk of the Peach Bowl. That's possible, but we'll see where that ends up. We'll know all that Sunday night when it all comes out.
Man, I need a Penn State Notre Dame bowl game at some point in my lifetime.
There's a possibility if Notre Dame didn't stink and lose 3 games that they could probably play with Penn State, but I just had to throw that out there just for fun.
Some of my good friends are huge ND fans.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the thing about it is if Notre Dame goes to a bowl game, they're probably going to sell that out. If Penn State goes the one, they're going to sell it out. I don't know that they need to both go to the same one and sell out one game. So, it's a money trail.
I know. It always is.
All right. Well, we will talk some more about that. We got to have you back, Freddie. You're good. Time has run out on us already, though, and I hate that because there's so much more we could talk about, but we're going to have to wrap this thing up. We'll thank tonight's special guest, Angelo Cataldi, our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC 118 Razru, with Dave LeBoy of Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA. Freddie, special thanks to you, my friend. Glad you joined us. Time just flew by because we could talk about each one of these subjects for double the time that we did, especially Eagles. We'll get you back.
Love it. Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks to you.
I enjoy it.
Glad you're willing to join in and say hello to the family. Give those kids big old hugs for us. Christmas time's coming. I'm sure that's going to be a big time in the Burns house as well. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you. Same to yours. Eagles and Sixers that day too.
That's right. So let's thank our host, Freddy Burns, Chet. This is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, December 6th. 7 p.m. We'll do it again. You can see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel. Listen on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. So with that, it's high hopes, Philadelphia sports fans.
Let's do the song. Come on.